Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to our panel, which is Kannywood, movies as a vehicle for social change. It's wonderful to have these really, wonderful people on the panel. And I'm going to just dive right into it. Maybe after I talk about how, film is seen these days as more of entertainment than as a tool for social change generally, especially with the advent of social media. So that whole dynamic that you used to have as a tool for social change it's not completely gone, but it's just changed slightly differently because of social media and the rise of technology and the internet. But we're going to begin. I'm going to ask Uzee this question first. Uzee is a hardcore Kannywood guy and Nollywood guy, a fantastic actor who I think most recently I saw in Eagle's Wings, an Air Force story, am I correct? Where he played the part of a terrorist, quite convincing, might I add. How did you view the part when it was offered to you? I'm going to use this to head to a question. Because these days, most of our biggest concerns, it's security related, and then security by extension, religion as well, because the extremists, the ones you played in the movie, they're Islamic, that's debatable whether they're Muslims or not, but they're supposed to be extremists. Yeah. How did you approach playing such a role, you being a Muslim and knowing the actual tenets of the religion, and did you feel there was a tendency for you to be misunderstood, because of that role? And how did you approach it?
Okay. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I remain Uzee Usman, the actor and movie maker. I was actually born and brought up in Kaduna. So I left Kaduna like 10, 15 years ago. This is the first time I'm coming back. So one of the reasons why, if you are a follower of Uzee films, maybe Uzee Multi-Concept or Uzee as an actor, you realize that most of my stories, even though it's an English film, but must have a northern touch. If you follow me very well and you follow my company movies. So I remember the producer of Eagle Wings, before I come to Voiceless is going to be premiered here, I think in 2 days time or tomorrow or so. So Eagle Wings, the producer of Eagle Wings, his name is called Papel. So it's a collaboration with Nigerian Air Force. I wasn't the first cast. I wasn't the choice for that character. Aminu was the first choice for that character. So when they approached me, they never told me it was Aminu. But I think, let me just quickly go back to your question, then before I land that one, before I give the difference between characterization and personality. So I started as a producer for 2 decades now, before I ventured into acting 2017. So I understand the northern audience very well. So you must make them understand that your personality and your career as an actor is totally different. You need to push it to their face. You need to make them understand that. So when I made the audience accept me the way I am. I'm not in the north to pretend, to try to suit anybody, to try to make anybody satisfied the way I am. Probably, I pray more than a lot of people in northern Nigeria. I can bet you that. So it's not by pretending or being hypocritical about religion. It's about making people to accept you the way you are. So because I've been producing film for 2 decades, so any film I do that have a lot of northern touch is being accepted in the side in the north.
Sorry, Uzee, what do you mean by northern touch?
Northern touch in terms of culture and religion, in terms of infusing the northern typical culture in it and religion in it, Islamic religion in it. I realized that it sells more in a particular side in the north, which is that more of the northwest, like Castina, Kaduna, Castina, Kano, and the rest are Northern Africa. It sells more. So, but the Middle Belt and like places like Kaduna and Co, and Gombe and Co, they are indifferent, because I think it's because of education. So they can differentiate. They can differentiate stories that you want to pass, the information you want to pass, and being careful because of what people will say. So I keep doing it. And the audience now realize that, oh, this guy, this is how it is. So when Eagle Wings producer approached me, I read the story, and he said, "Can you do it?" I said, "Why not? I can." He said, because that was when we shot that film, that was when the Boko Haram thing was like extra. So he said, because we have approached like 3 actors in the north, and they said they were going to burn their houses in Kano. And I told him that if they're going to burn my father's house in Kaduna because of my career, let's do it. If it's going to take me sacrifice for me to pass the message of what is really happening in northern Nigeria, then I can do it. Then we went on set, we shot in Air Force Base, we went to Maiduguri. If you watch that film very well, almost all my part was shot in the middle of Maiduguri.
Yes, I did. And then, sorry to cut in. So, do you think the movie achieved, generally, I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. I understood what you guys were going for. But do you think it achieved what it set out to, that which is like basically to maybe change the perception of people towards the Nigerian Air Force? Because let's call it, that's what it is. It's a perception changer for the Nigerian Air Force to show, beyond the uniforms, they're people too. They work for the security and for the unity of the country, and so on and so forth. Do you think it achieved that?
Yes, it did. It did, but you cannot satisfy the audience 100%. There are some aspects, some percentage I said the movie satisfy the Nigerian Air Force too much, that it is not too realistic. Because of what they passed through, they know that the Nigerian Air Force did not go that length to assist them. So, but we try to find a balance between the federal government, which is represented by Nigerian Air Force, and the audience who are passing through the insurgency at that particular time. We'll try our best to balance it, just to bring out a positive result in both sides.
Thank you very much, Uzee. Now back to, or let me go to Asabe. You've done quite some really good work in Kannywood. I won't go through the thing, splitting English speaking, Hausa speaking, Kannywood, but Kannywood is Kannywood.
Yeah.
And what would you say is the most challenging role you've played? And challenging I'm talking about like something where there's a strong element of social change in it. There's some controversy because it's a sensitive issue that people don't want to talk about, even though it's very important and it needs to be talked about. Which would you say was your most challenging role, and if maybe you could shed some more light on it for us, please?
Okay, I would say the most. Good morning, everyone. Sorry. My name is Asabe Madaki. I would say the most challenging for me is the role that I played in the movie Voiceless. That's Salma. It was really challenging before I even took the role. First of all, at the time we shot the movie, Boko Haram was like hot, really hot everywhere. And then the insecurity, the kidnappings, and all of that. So when I got the script, I read it. And I was like, wow. I told my family. And the first reaction was, no, they're going to take you. You act this, they're going to come for you. But they told me, well, think about it. And I sat down, I thought about it, and I prayed about it, and I said, really, somebody needs to tell this story. Somebody needs to show what these people are going through. And when I made the decision, I really didn't understand the reality, you understand? I didn't understand it, I didn't get it. I was just like, I want to tell the story, I want people to see, to understand. and then I went for it. But on set, it was different. My tears are shy. I don't like to cry in front of people. So, and that role had me crying, you know. So, when we started, you know, as an actor, you have to get into character. You have to become that person. So I started to become Salma. And then it was traumatizing. Even after the movie, 3 months, 4 months after, I was still traumatized. That is how I got into the character. There was a scene where...
Exactly, I was just going to say, maybe if you could share some of that.
So there was a scene where my friend, Kauna, Salma's friend, Kauna, was killed. You know, she was buried, head out, and stoned to death. That scene, Uzee is a witness. We all cried. The director said, "Cut." We were still crying. They had to give us time to finish crying. Because, I mean, what we acted is not 100% what the victims have gone through. It's not 100%. So, I mean, the thought of it, you know, the whole thing resonated with us because we just hear, oh, Boko Haram hits this place, and then in our houses we're like, they killed this number, hey, God protect them, you know. But after the movie, I understood it because I lived it. So when they say this person has been kidnapped, this person has been killed, or a village has been attacked, I understand. So yeah, that was the most challenging one for me because emotionally, physically, I mean, when we shoot, when we're done, people, the cast and the crew, they walk up to me and say, "Asabe, are you all right?" Uzee will ask me, "Asabe, are you all right?" So it was really challenging for me.
Thanks, Asabe. Just as a little aside, let me confirm with LS, we're going to watch Voiceless at the festival tomorrow night. So yeah, you'll get to see firsthand what Uzee and Asabe went through. I personally can't wait. On that note, I'll just move to the dapper Mr. Aaron John by my right. Yes, he's actually in charge of a really exciting project here in Kaduna. It's a film village thing. You know, that's all I'm allowed to tell you so that the mopo outside will not block me and say I revealed too many secrets. We're just going to go a little off topic, just a little, and let you tell us, you know, about your project, you know, yourself. And while you're telling us, tell us maybe if there's an aspect of it where you feel maybe you can come in to change public perception for the better about issues, you know, that are currently prevalent in the society today.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Aaron John. I am a public servant. But today, I would hold two truths, one as a public servant, one as a resident of Kaduna. And it's possible for one person to hold two truths at the same time. I grew up in Kaduna. I was born and raised here. A few months after I was born was the Zango Kataf crisis. I was too little to know anything about it. But as fate would have it, I went on to experience 3 more crises in Kaduna: the Sharia, the Miss World, and then the 2011 post-election crisis. One thing that I've always remembered from that experience was after the 2000 Sharia crisis, something happened, something very profound, and it was storytelling. There was a church, I think the Deeper Life Church. I lived in Tulunumpower at the time. My parents lived there. They had this viewing, you know, so they just displayed their projector and then they started showing the Passion of Christ. few weeks after something like that happened, for a body to portray that image of Passion of Christ, I found it so profound because one, it's in the middle of an environment that is Muslim prone, and something like that just happened. Around it were houses that have been burnt down, and then we're watching that movie, and then when it came to where Jesus was crucified, someone threw a stone at the projector, and then another person was like, I don't know how to speak Hausa very well, but this is the interpretation in English. You are not a true Muslim if you are throwing stones at this because you don't understand what the Quran says about Jesus and the prophets. And that stuck with me. And this is what happens after every film that we watch, the ones that break grounds and really seep into our subconscious. It's like, there's this moments that exist after you watch a film that makes you question a lot of things. And for a brief moment, you are one of the characters and it speaks to you and you put yourself into that. And that's what storytelling does. It transcends our cultural, religious barriers, and it brings together something very common. Now, my trajectory working in the public service, I think I've been quite fortunate to have touched bits and pieces of the public service, from the highest to the lowest. And now I work in a place where it's possible for us to create an enabling environment to push behavioral change in terms of storytelling, filmmaking, arts, and the likes. This is what brought about the Film Village. If you are a resident of Kaduna, you just need to drive around town to know that we've had glory days, past glory days, our textile industry being one of them, the trade fair complex in Rikachukun being another one of them. But now those facilities just lay dormant, doing nothing. About 65% of our population in Kaduna are 30 and under. Those population will not go back to textile. Most of us will not go back to farming. Majority of us will not go back to trade because the world is in a new place. Some of us are creatives now, some of us are in tech, some of us are in business. So the idea now is like, why don't we transform and convert these existing facilities into something that speaks to the majority of our residents, the Film Village being one of them. So we're in conversations with some private sector investors, with the Kaduna Chamber of Commerce and Kaduna Capital Territory Authority where I work. And the idea is convert the existing trade fair complex into a film village that makes it possible for us to churn out talent in filmmaking out of Kaduna, for us to also bring in international filmmakers to take advantage of the facility here, produce very quality films. In so doing, the younger generations we have here can also learn from that expertise that is coming on. And now the icing on this is also situate a filmmaking school there, a film school there in that facility, so that we don't have to break the bank to go to Jos or go to South Africa or go to Lagos to learn filmmaking. Our residents here can come and learn filmmaking and then do something. That's Aaron, the public servants, talking. Now, Aaron, the residents now is concerned that when this come on board and a young filmmaker comes to say, I want to tell a story that pushes the envelope to a point where government is like, we can't allow this go out. This talks too much. This speaks too much to what is going on. What do we do? So now that's Aaron, the resident of Kaduna, being concerned now, because I like storytelling. I feel like there is nothing we can do in terms of policy implementation. If it doesn't speak to behavioral change, we have not started doing anything yet. So now what we've done is see if we can establish an independent governing board that is also some sort of a regulatory agency for filmmakers in Kaduna,
So that's basically a mix of err on the public servant
Yes,
and err on the
exactly. Because I feel like one way I can be as efficient as a public servant as I can be as a resident is if I can put myself into all the shoes and recommend policies that not only works for the government but also works for its citizens. So now this governing board would be responsible for curating events like a Kaduna Film Festival, also licensing films, and also licensing and regularizing the films that go out. I can't say for certain if the policies would allow certain films to be made.
Censorship?
Yes, I can't say for certain, but I would be most pleased if the regulations would allow as much as possible for filmmakers to push the envelopes and help us challenge the status quo in culture, in religion, and in other biases.
Do you have any particular plans maybe you could share with us how you intend to achieve that? Because it seems like it's going to be a delicate balance.
Yes. So we've studied a lot of film villages around the continent, etc. So what we've done is create a business model that speaks to the viability of filmmaking, which is the Nollywood model. Because we have so much piracy in the early days of Nollywood, filmmakers churn out so much product and films just so that they can stay ahead of the curve and become commercially viable. So there's that model. For those people that want to create action blockbusters, commercially viable films, there's that. But then there are other true artists that says, I am really not interested in the commercial viability of this movie. I want to tell a story to make people think. Now, that exists. And what we plan to do for this is see if we can develop a fund around this. Now, this fund would help people in this category to be able to create these stories and films and not worried about the outcome, how people perceive it, etc. And how government also perceives it. So it would create an enabling environment for this category of persons. Yes, so what if it's censored? The internet exists now, right? So what if it's censored? A video on demand platform like Netflix or Hulu can take it up. But I'll be most happy if it comes from my film village. And when it comes to the censorship, we would fight that when we get there. And there's the other angle of it, which is the film festival, to allow for a platform for people to showcase what they've done, whether commercially viable, whether it's storytelling that pushes the envelope, etc. So the platform exists for that. And invite international bodies, invite distributors, invite other storytellers and makers to come and see the talent that exists in Kaduna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, slightly, in relation to what Aaron just regaled us with right now, Uzee, do you as an artist feel it's something you can key in, regarding sort of like discussing issues via your craft? Do you at all feel, by this arrangement, maybe there might be some stifling of your creativity? You'll not be able to express things you really want to express. Like, let's say, maybe issues when it comes to like maybe hot button topics like child rape, things that generally are universally outrageous, Do you feel like maybe an arrangement like this could hinder maybe your expression of your craft?
Okay. I listened to him thoroughly. Let me start. First and foremost, we're having little issue in northern Nigeria entirely in terms of storytelling. And that is one of the reasons why I left the northern Nigeria to focus my energy more in shooting movies that goes internationally and nationally. So, for example now, what he says he wants to do in Kaduna is been done in Kano already. You cannot shoot a northern film. Apart from doing national census, you have to do Kano census. Why is it so? Why will Kano State dictate the kind of story I do? And for example, I remember even this voiceless that I want to show. I know what we passed through. This is an international standard film that was aired on Netflix. It's still on Netflix. It's been distributed by Film One, the biggest cinema distributors in Africa. It got to Kano. They went there, the government went there and said they should pull it down. They pulled it down. I know what I personally passed through with the producer.
What were the issues with it exactly?
Nothing really. It's just, I think, nothing really. You're going to watch the film tomorrow. It's because they said almost all the actors, including Asabe Madaki, did not register under Kano census. That as an actor, you have to go to Kano census and register.
So it's basically irritating admin issues as opposed to, artistic.
Exactly. Now you understand the limitation that I'm talking about. It's not even they're not even concerned about what the audience want to learn from that film. They are concerned about fighting Uzee or fighting Asabe because she did not register with Kano census. Does it make sense? So with that, the reason why I'm saying that I have to give example with my own film. So the reason why it's been limited and we have a lot of stories. There's a film I just shot for Asabe Madaki. She's one of the top actresses. It's about child molestation and child rape and all that. Those are the kind of film we need to be shooting in the North. But immediately I approached Rock. That's Rock TV. I showed them the script. Automatically, the owner of Rock did not even think it twice because she can understand what young girls are passing through in houses and all that. She bought the idea. She paid for the money. She bought it outrightly. And that film now is not going to come to the North. It's going to show in the South. And it's a Northern story, 100% Northern story. So we need to beg the Northern government. I think that is where the major problem is. The religious leaders, they need to understand that we have gotten to a level whereby everybody in the Northern Nigeria have phone in their hand. What they are running from, they watch it on their bed. What they are running for, I posted something like this a few days on my Instagram. What they think film is trying to teach their children already knows it since. They knows it since. So why are they focusing on filmmakers? Is Aaron, yes, I understand what you're trying to do. But I'm telling you, believe me, you're going to pass through a lot of others, especially from religion leaders, especially from government officials.
Can I comment?
Yes.
Okay. I think you really should register with the Kano census.
I'm registered already.
Exactly.
Not pro-registration.
Not because I see it as another bureaucracy, but because you need to also understand the government's point of view. Now, one, is the registration process so seamless that you can do it under 5 minutes? That's another question. And
thank you.
No, it's rhetorical. So the ease of doing business that Kaduna State government always talks about is not to create another layer of bureaucracy, but is to also get as much data as possible of the people that are doing business in Kaduna. Now, this data goes a long way to us that recommend policies to be implemented. If you want to come and do a film in Kaduna, and I said 1, 2, 3 is what you should do, but I also make it very seamless that you can do it on your way into Kaduna or at the airport. You just press, and it's done. It's okay. No, so now the challenge comes where that layer of bureaucracy becomes another thing that makes it impossible for you to do. Or go into one office, go into another office, touch this, touch that, bribe this, bribe that, provide this document, provide that document. Because at the end of the day, I want to be able to have as much information about who is coming into my state to do business, or who is coming into my state to shoot film, or the kind of story that is going out of my state.
Okay, so now you're talking as Aaron, the government worker.
Boom. And I'm going to still talk about as Aaron the, yes, I am. I think it's one.
And
of
then
the
I will
reasons
give you
why-
example with your state.
I think one is that's one of the
As a
reasons why
government worker, again,
I
I'll give
am
example.
I am on this platform. I think it's absolutely important, for what has happened over the years is that government tries to catch up.
Okay, so can you give
It's
me a few
hap-
seconds? Let me,
yes.
before I forget what I want to say. Do you know Voiceless was supposed to be shot in Kaduna?
Why wasn't it shot?
Because the government gave us 6 months. They didn't give us attention. 6 months.
Who are you talking to?
I was with the governor. Yes.
See
The governor,
now.
let me explain to you now.
Okay.
The governor is the chief security of the state. He's the highest.
Yes.
I was even in it with him. He joined us with plenty people. Plenty people. This is a movie that have nothing less than in terms of manpower. Asabe is the lead character. Ask her. Plateau state government that gave us listening ears. The employment we did with that movie is more than 1,000. And we shot that movie for 3 months.
I apologize on behalf of us.
Do you know Mo Abudu? No, excuse. Hold on. Do you know Mo Abudu?
Yes.
Mo Abudu was supposed to come to Kaduna to shoot wedding party. If you don't know today, let me tell you. Ask Asabe Madaki.
It's all right.
They frustrated her. She was coming to Kaduna codedly for 2 months.
I've heard these stories, a lot of them.
So what are you now saying?
What I am saying is exactly what I am saying. If you've listened to what I'm saying is we've understood that this bottleneck exists.
I just give you example
Now,
of 2 big filmmakers in
yes,
Nigeria that
yes.
could be able to make Nigeria map globally and Kaduna map globally.
I agree.
Can I say something?
I agree. Just one more thing. I agree. Yeah, all of these things would have been done etc. Let me give you a story about what happened last year when we organized the countdown after 1 or 2 years hiatus. They said, it won't happen. No one would come to the north to come and party for countdown etc. But we did it anyway, and thousands of people showed up. I am not going to take responsibility for things that did not happen in the past. And as at last year, this time around last year, the Kaduna Capital Territory Authority did not exist. And since we came on board, a lot of things we've done is challenge the status quo and say, why can't Kaduna City be like every other city in the world? So if you want to produce a film, etc., and you go straight to the number one, what he looks at and what I would look at the number, say 500 and something, is different. What his concerns would be and what my concern would be are 2 different things. Oftentimes, people meet me and say, oh, but I spoke to the governor and it did not happen. And I'm like, yes, because you just added another layer of what he is trying to deal with. Why didn't you speak to the person that can be able to look at all the things and then recommend to say, this is why this should happen? These are the concerns, and this is how we can remedy some of the challenges. So back to what I'm saying about the Kano Census Board. These things don't exist as another layer of bureaucracy. They exist because government, as much as possible, wants to understand what is going on, in its state. I'll give you another example. With us trying to play catch-up. Government is always trying to play catch-up, and it shouldn't be so. Government should be ahead of the curve so that when industries get to that point, there is already something that they can look forward to, an enabling environment. Government is still trying to catch up with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Government is still trying to catch up with fintech. Government is still trying to catch up with filmmaking. But now we are trying to say, okay, let's look at this from another point of view. How much have we failed in the past with the Kaduna State government in terms of creativity, storytelling, and filmmaking? And how can we reverse that and create an enabling environment for filmmakers to thrive? I understand that all of these things have existed in the past, but the conversations that I am very interested in having is, these are the challenges that you might experience going forward, and these are our recommendations for you to mitigate some of those risks.
Okay, a quick one. Do you know that 70 to 80% of filmmakers in Kano have stopped doing commercial film? They have moved to YouTube. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Why? Do you know the reason why they moved to YouTube?
You tell me.
Because of one of them.
I'm joking, sorry.
Okay, one of them is because of the troubles they are passing through with census board. Are you aware?
Sorry, let me just add something maybe for you to hear. In addition to what Uzee is saying, do you know that at a point the Kano State Census Board was called the Kano State Censorship Board? Yeah, massive Freudian slip there. So that goes to show you the kind of stuff the people operating within Kano have been going through for so many years. I'm not taking sides here. I'm just saying that there's quite a lot of value in what he's saying. Just like what you're saying too. But believe me, they have suffered.
You are not a filmmaker.
I agree with your suffering.
So I'm just looking the revenue in terms of money that Delta State is making with fame. Asaba.
Yes.
The kind of revenue that Enugu State is making with fame. The kind of revenue Lagos State is making with fame. You don't want to imagine it. I'm telling you, these three states, Asaba State government, you know what they did? And Delta State government, you know what they did? This film village you want to build, they have it. They furnished it apartment by apartment and tell filmmakers, just come. As I'm talking to you, Edo State Obaseki, Edo State governor, brought in the entire Rock TV structure and told the owner that all your producers, 180 of them should come. We'll give them bus free. We'll give them hotel where their crew will stay for free. Let them just come and shoot in Benin. Is the location you want? We're going to provide it for you. Yes.
Okay, so can I say something concerning
sure.
what they're discussing? Okay, so we've gone through a lot of challenges. I agree with Aaron because I have pushed a proposal like that to the government house. I kept following up for Film Village, Censorship Board. I believe in regulation. I believe in it because it sanitizes the whole system. It keeps everyone in check. But then, who is going to handle that board? You bring in filmmakers to handle it. If you give it to somebody like,
Aaron.
who would I use? No. Aaron, I'm not attacking
Call him
you.
red tape guy.
If you give it to somebody who does not understand the industry, the nitty-gritties, the in and out, then we're going to go back to the same challenges.
Agreed.
And then all of us will run away. Yes.
Jackman.
That is it. So you need to give somebody who understands the business of film, who understands the actors, who understands the crew, everything about film. Don't give it to an outsider. You were asking for recommendations and all. I have a proposal that I can give to you.
Amazing.
I did it since 2015 and it wasn't attended to. And I am from Kaduna State and I work with the government. Yes.
Infighting.
You understand? I'm a public servant too. So I know what Uzee is saying. I know it. I have experienced it. But yeah, this is something that me and you, Aaron, will talk about after, not here. Thank you.
very
Few
much.
details. So thank you very much, everyone. So Asabe, still you. There's a question I have for you, especially you being a woman in this sector. I know it can't be easy, but things are getting better. Glass ceilings are being shattered every day, so there's just a bit of progress, and we're hoping for more. What would you say is the biggest hurdle personally you've encountered, while practicing your craft?
Wow. There's so many.
Something you'd love to see change. Let's say if you had a genie now, he gave you one wish in that area, what you'd like to see, a social problem that you'd like to see change related to your craft.
I would like for my voice to be heard. as a woman, I would like for my voice to be heard. That's one of the biggest challenge.
Could you tell us a little more about that?
Okay. So, I just talked about having proposals. Now, I'm not going to the government one. I'm even going to where you have proposals to even individuals, to businesses, and all of that, private sectors. And you go as a woman, and instead of them to look at what you have, they're looking at you. Like, seriously? I've gone somewhere, and after we finished all of the talk, and then the person looks at me and says, "You're an actor. So can we meet later in my hotel room?" And I looked at him, and I'm like, "What do you mean? I'm an actor. Can we meet later in your hotel room to discuss further about the document that I brought?" And he was like, now. I have actors. How can we now? I'll say it in English. That actors, the female actresses, I say actor because you understand, that actresses, so let me come back, actresses to differentiate female, that actresses sleep around. So I told him, I am Asabe Madaki. I am different. If you had your way with the others, you won't have your way with me. And I took my stuff and I left. And I told him that I'm going to, keep knocking on doors till I get my answer. So it's really challenging being a female because they don't look at what you have up here, they look at your body. So that is the challenge for me. There's so many things. That one, I just want my voice to be heard. Hear my voice, please. It's sweet now.
My challenge right now is NEPA. Before I took the taking advantage from now. In a couple of minutes, we'll leave the floor open for you guys. Raise up your hands if you have questions. The nicest looking hands, you get first. So before we go there, I was saying this, now the thing is, when we're looking at film as, a vehicle for social change, like deliberately, it's tricky. At what point does, sanitizing it, begin, and then at what point does the freedom of the artistic expression, end? So it's really tricky, and some of the most successful filmmakers find a way to balance it. They work well with the government, types, the suits, more accurately the leather jackets.
The leather jackets.
And the people, suspenders. And then with the artist, either behind the camera or in front of the camera, so it's really tricky, and I think that's where the solution would lie, if you can just find the semblance of balance, and then we could move forward and then get to use filmmaking or movies themselves as vehicles for social change. I would have really loved for NEPA to be here for this, but because time is going, we're just going to have to plow on without the mics. But
you can hear
no problem.
you.
So,
We can hear you.
no, that would be nepotism, Abdulaziz. I'm not going to entertain a question from you. Oh, your hand is beautiful. So yes. What's your question?
Okay. So
What's your name? Sorry.
My name is Mariam Noshi. So
talking about film as a vehicle for change, right? I've seen what Northern society does to anything in the media that does not suit them. And one example is Real Housewives of Abuja. They attack them without watching what was on that show. And I always say it would have been a perfect opportunity for Northern Nigerian women to share their story, to share the beautiful parts of their religion, and so much more, family life, and so much more, right? So while we talk about government being, what's blocking certain things, our government is a reflection of our society. Somebody who's representing people who knows that the people I'm representing are not going to stand for this will probably not stand for it either, so that he or she does not get the pushback, right? So at what point are we going to address our society's reaction to blocking? Because this film village was proposed in Kano at some point, and the society rejected it. They fought against it, and it never happened. So when are we going to address the role that the society in northern Nigeria is playing in blocking a lot of this progress that we need to see in film, and how some of those stories can really bring about change in not just how we behave in our society, but how we're perceived by southern Nigeria or people outside the country.
Thank you very much, Mary. Abdulaziz, please. I think I was afraid of that. Did you stutter, or is your name double?
That's a story for another time. My name is Abdulaziz. I'm a journalist. Actually, I covered the Kannywood very extensively, thanks to my boss then, Ibrahim Sheme, who had interest in the industry. So I covered the crisis of censorship in Kano. I followed Ian Tama, Ibro, and almost everyone that was arrested that time. And ironically, I was actually discussing 2 days ago with a friend that the same Apakala, who is the DG now, was in the vanguard because he was working with Ian Tama then. So he was in the vanguard of all those fighting against all these things. But
the censors had their fair share of scandals too.
Exactly. So I like I like particularly what Asabe said, and I think that is actually the truth, that there is actually a middle way in between absolute censorship and also responsibility in the parts of the practitioners. And I think it is also very essential, as she recommended, that people put in charge of this work should be practitioners. And it's just like in journalism, that's one of the problems we're having. You bring somebody who has no experience in the, cognate experience in the profession to maybe be in charge of MBC or something like that. And that's why a lot of times you see a lot of problems, because when you have someone who is not a practitioner to actually regulate a professional endeavor, you end up having a lot of these challenges. And I think it's very nice that she already has some blueprint, something that she feels, and I think Aaron has his job eased out for him. So that meeting, I think, is important to really digest this and also how to provide this, because you can't just allow the practitioners to, because everything is subject to abuse, and therefore, the government, as a protector of public interest, has to be interested. But of course, we have to also know, as the moderator said, where the artistic expression stops and where the issue of public interest or government regulation also comes in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abdulaziz. Okay, it's a difficult choice for me now. I have dear friends raising their hands and a boss looking at me menacingly. Okay, he just looked away, so, oh, he's looking at me again. General Bala, please ask your question.
Thank you very much. Mine is just one appeal. Although throughout the conversation, I have not heard any much about content. You know, the whole mentality is the contestation between the state and the civil space. But what is most important about the content that I've been hearing is about the censorship. But do remember that culture is a wheel. And cultures that are really fundamentally deeply encrusted takes over time. But what I have said, because I have a 30-year-old son, so I do understand this, okay? This generation is very much in a hurry. Hurry is good because you have the technology that supports all this. And this is why startups crash. Your banks are crashing all the time, okay? Because hardly are things founded on tradition. So it's a food for thought for you. But most of all, speaking here, except for this dress, you will know that I am of the Motown and Hollywood generation, okay? And really it's about culture, it's about refinement. And this is what I don't find in Nigerian films. I'm still forcing myself to watch because right from the beginning, if it is Nollywood, it is crying up to the end.
Or shouting.
or screaming, but it's the culture. It's the culture, okay? So, and what irritates me, because you are mine, what really irritates me with Kannywood, please get out of this Indian mentality. We are not an overtly dancing society. Okay? Please stop this irritating choreography. It doesn't work. Secondly, throw away all those stupid synthesizers, for God's sake. I'm a soldier, forgive me some of my language. Let us hear your voices. At the time when I was here, I was so encrusted in basketball, but I felt a challenge to introduce an annual Zabirwa Arewa. Because I want to hear your voices. My little girl here did some poetry here, which can be transformed into a song. Give it to a Kannywood producer. He's going to put her into a synthesizer and make her sound not like an Indian, because your synthesized voice are not Indian. Aminu, whose dance annoy me. So, honestly, this will help your generation, okay? Because my generation are the governors. Nasuru is my classmate. So we have a perspective of things. For as much as Nasuru is very modern and revolutionary, and he's trying to step down 5-10 generations down and enable you. But some of the things you talk about, some of the things you talk about censorship. Last flight, I came all the way from Berlin. I was watching Hollywood movies on Qatar Airlines, business class. Wherever there is mother, you know what? It becomes mother soccer. Whenever there is F-U-C-K, it's a beep. That's Qatar Airlines, of a nation hosting the World Cup. Censorship is good, and it is a factor of time. So if you are in a hurry, all of you will migrate to Lagos and become, is Lagos, what? If you go to Kannywood and become Laggywood and come out on Glow adverts, only as may say the Suya. Or when the Glow promotion is about selling yam, or a woman in the bus delivering, every person enabling her with technology is their own people. while your own farmer selling yam has to be somebody from the south. I don't have any issues with the south because I'm a soldier. But then, film is about culture, and it is the most expedient way. If the Indians, over the past 7 years, are making you behave like Indians, do remember that in spite of, you are making East and Southern Africans behave like Nigerians. I went to Ethiopia for an engagement. Sorry, am I taking...
Actually, General, they actually were, we have literally 5 minutes left, and both of them want to respond.
Okay, I stop quickly with this. I went into my hotel it was a late Saturday. I went into the hotel, and I can hear P Square music. And I was like, oh, P Square are here? They said, no, they are Ethiopians. So this is how much this aspect of Nigerian culture has permeated the world. Burna Boy is the hottest thing in the world. He is not singing like an Indian or an American, for God's sake.
Thank you, sir. Uzee, you want to respond? Make it quick because Asabe also has a response.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for your recommendation, your slaps and all that. Okay, so this is it. Sir, with due respect, you need to understand something, which is extremely important. Majority of the films you watch, especially from the northern Nigeria, they fund it themselves. So they're not here to count bridges. They're here to make money. And 90% of audience, just 10% of audience understand this word you're saying. 90% of audience like that dance you are insulting right now. And a typical me would not invest 20 million and expect your 10% to watch it, and I'll go home bankrupt to the village. I would rather satisfy the 90% that want to watch the mediocrity and gain money and go abroad and build houses. So it's a typical thing. We need to get it straight. So that is one. And then two again, Sam. And then that is one. And then two again is we want people like you, sir, to come into the business. We want people like you to come into the business. We shot Voiceless with close to $2 million. It's an individual money, and my own money is even part of it. Nothing we did not do. We ran the entire 19 Northern State begging people, individual government officials, Asabe, you are here, for them to even come and support us. They said they will not do it. That is the problem.
Uzee, great point. Time, so Asabe, then after Asabe, Aaron wants to give some government.
But I'm not done actually, and it's paining me, because I really need to, because he raised some
okay,
points.
you have 15 seconds. Okay,
no, he raised some points. He raised some points which is very important. But basically, time will not allow us to just go on.
Okay, Asabe.
All right, thank you very much. I understand where the general is coming from. That is why here in Kaduna, when I joined Nollywood, Kannywood, we came back here in Kaduna and we started what is called Kannywood. You may not have heard about it, but Kannywood we have started. And the reason why we started Kannywood is because of what is happening in Kannywood. We're not in competition with Kannywood, we're still part of Kannywood, but we want to start something for Kaduna artists, for Kaduna filmmakers. That is why we started Kannywood. I understand what you say about the whole Indian dance and everything, but like Uzee said, that is what sells. So most filmmakers will go for that. Now we want to make films that do not have all of that. But do we have northerners who are interested in that sector? We lack them, sir. We lack them. We lack them, sir. Because
Yes, sir. I'll give you my email address. Let me have it. I'm not joking.
okay, then your what you said, what she said about yes, what she said. It's going to be difficult, but we can start. We have to, if we want to move from this point to this point, you have to start. It's either you walk, or you get in a car, or you fly. or even crawl. But we have to start. And how do we start? We have to enlighten people to understand some of these things.
3, 2.
To understand some of these things because
Sorry, it hurts me to do this, but okay, surprise! We have 5 extra minutes, courtesy of LS.
I didn't give you that.
You did like this.
Yeah. You have 1 minute.
You did.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so it's just one. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Aaron.
Let me run through some of the things I have. I think a very important thing about film and storytelling is representation. And when I see a lot of films that come out of Nigeria, Nollywood, Kannywood, Kadawood, etc., I don't see myself there. And if I see films that want to break ceilings, I also don't see myself there. And it's a very, very important thing for social change, for film to be able to invoke empathy, for me to be able to see myself in those characters. Housewife of Abuja, for example, of Lagos, and then you see them and they are in these very expensive couture dresses, etc. And I'm like, the typical housewife that I know don't go around wearing couture and dressed in this flamboyant makeup. And this is why that society don't see themselves.
They do.
And this is why, and this is why I would maybe stand up against 1 or 2 films, because it does not represent the society that is supposed to portray. And now, who determines that is the filmmaker? When
the reality that
when
determines.
filmmaking also incorporates relatability, then it gradually begins to change behavior. That's one.
The government is censoring.
No, secondly, just on the governing board, etc., for there to be a filmmaker, etc., yes, absolutely. But then you would also want to see something that most of the world top conglomerates in tech, etc., don't have techies running them. And there's a reason why, right? There's a reason why you don't have techies running some of the top conglomerates, and then you have them as COOs, etc. Is because at the end of the day, you want someone that is able to tell stories and is able to side with government, with business, etc., and not exactly, so it can be balanced. I agree, absolutely. Part of the governing board's advisors should be filmmakers and experts.
Fantastic. On that note.
Okay, 1 minute. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second.
1 second.
1 second.
1 second over.
It pains me a lot that the time is limited for you.
The time is not limited. It's gone.
Okay, so sorry. I want to respond to a question. It hurts me so much. I think the reason why that program got a lot of backlash, I was together with the producer like yesterday, is because of a particular person they put there. The Northern Society is against that person with all their heart and their soul. And that is one. Two again, sir. After this section, I'm going to list my films for you. They are Northern-based films for you to watch them online on Netflix and everywhere.
And they don't
and
have
then you
Indians
come back
to
to me.
Email
and tell
them.
me.
Email the general after everything. Now, BC at Japan has 30 seconds and we're done. 30 seconds.
Oh, it's a question, not a comment.
LS will
really.
kill me.
So, I used to direct plays in America, and I've been wondering, looking at you, listening to you, have you had stories in your heart? Do you think there is space for you one day to be a director of a movie?
I have already started directing. I directed a short film. Yeah. I directed a short film called The Call. I'm the executive producer and director. The thing is, I told myself, I have to start from somewhere. I've been knocking and nothing has happened. So I started. And once I started, somebody saw it and called me up and was like, let's do something. So you have to start. Yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone. Wonderful panel.